I'm here with Debbie Zois from the Canadian Rockies to the bright lights of Las Vegas and how she built her real estate empire.
Wow.
Yeah. Well,
it's kind of exciting.
Yeah. Welcome, Debbie.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. How are things these days?
Things are great. Lots of travel, lots of kind of flitting around, seeing lots of stuff, and just back in town. And thank you for having me. I haven't heard your questions yet, so this will be fun.
Yeah. Well, I know you're a rock star, so you'll be nimble. It'll be a lot of fun we'll have.
Will be great.
Yeah. So tell me, how did you find real estate? How did real estate find you? What's the story with you in real estate from when did you come to Vegas?
So I came to Vegas in '86, a long time ago, and was working in retail and had to make a change. Figured real estate, I had the Century 21 in Canada was after me to join them. And I thought, no, if they want me there, they would have me in Vegas too. And how hard could it be, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I passed my test. I remember I got 98%. I thought I was going to do super because I passed my test, right? That's what matters. And started in the office, and they said, okay, pick up the phone. And I said, but it's not ringing. And they go, it's not going to ring. You've got to call people. And I was like, oh, this is not what I signed up for. I'm from Canada. I don't know. Who do I call? Like, what do I do? It was different. Once I got in it, I was like, oh, you have to work a lot more than I thought you'd have to.
Still true today, isn't it, with real estate?
I think a lot of people get in and think the phone's going to ring, and it doesn't ring. You have to make it ring.
Right. That's the idea, is make the phone ring. So how long did it take you when you first got started, right, in the new land, new industry? How long did it take you before you started gaining momentum in real estate? Let's fast forward a little bit.
So I think it was hard because the phone didn't ring. What was I going to do? I got one military buyer that got referred to me from an agent that couldn't work with him. And that poor man suffered being my best friend because he was the only person I really knew. I was from Canada. My husband was from California. I didn't know anybody, right? And so who am I going to sell real estate to except for this poor gentleman? So I remember I would call him every week and I'd be like, hey, Jimmy, it's Debbie. He goes, I know. I go, just checking to see what you're up to. What are you doing?
Every week.
I called him every single week. And always at the end, I said, and you know what I'm going to ask you? He goes, yes, I have a name for you. They're going to be here. And I kind of trained him to let me know that I was going to call him and he was going to try to send me business. And he got to be good at it. And he would know, like in April and October, people would be coming in, mm-hmm. and he was purposely looking for me. I kind of trained him to be a watchdog.
So how did you do that? What, you just were every week? Did you take some sort of training?
I mean, I learned from Mark Masivic way back in the day, and I feel like Mark Masivic is an icon in Las Vegas real estate.
I've heard great things about him.
He really helped so many people in the business and helped people just get up and going. And he was my mentor and trainer, and he told us to do stuff and I would go and do it. Mm-hmm. So I was purposeful about building relationships, and I didn't have many people to build a relationship with. So poor Jimmy got to talk to me a lot, right? Because I didn't have a lot of other people to call. I did call some for sale by owners and was able to land a couple of those and got some listings. And I ended up being the rookie of the year, which was because I put my head down and I had to work. You know, it was not as easy as I thought.
Where is Jim today?
You know, Jimmy, I lost touch with him, and I feel really bad. He had moved to Germany and then he got out of the service, and I don't know, after talking to him, I called him once a week when I was getting going, and then I'd call him once a month and then maybe once a year. And it's sad, but I think that happens in our business as we lose touch with our clients, and we shouldn't let that happen.
Mm-hmm. So Jimmy was the first, and then tell us about the height of your being, mega agent. You've been a mega agent for some time. I know the story that when you transitioned companies, you had like 77 listings, right? And this was back.
That was back
a couple of years ago.
97, yeah. So it was a different time, and we weren't allowed to take our listings with us, and thankfully I was able to take them because it was really hard. Like, how were you you had handcuffs on you. How
many units were you closing at the height? I mean, what's the most amount of units do you recall closing? As you had your team, you had multiple people, like you were in that sweet spot, right?
Right. There was a point where I just had my team, and the most that we ever closed was 42 units in a month. So it was pretty purposeful, more than one a day.
Wow.
We had a lot of systems and structure, and that was all of my focus, where now I've got, so many different entities, and I kind of pulled. Mm-hmm. across the whatever you need to do kind of spreads out, doesn't it?
Yeah, and that was before the amount of technology that we have, so systems. It was a different time, so that's a tremendous amount of business. 42 in a month.
Yeah.
Wow. So help me understand. When did you make the decision? When did you have the realization that you wanted to do more than be a mega agent and sell a lot of real estate? When was there a moment or an event that happened when you started, as you call it, thinking bigger? I want to do more. I want to branch out into other things.
Yeah, I think Gary had challenged us to find a business that runs parallel with real estate to make money at it. Logical is a brokerage or a title company or property management, something like that. And I loved Keller Williams, and I loved what Keller Williams was doing all across the country, but we were flailing and we were miserable in Vegas. And the owners then were from California. He was a commercial man. He thought he knew more than Gary Keller. So he bought into the franchise, but he didn't follow the systems. And I was like, that's the dumbest thing ever. Why would you buy into a franchise and not follow the systems? And so I came to a point where my team was really doing well, but it was dysfunctional. Everything around us was dysfunctional. We kind of closed our doors and built our team. And I was talking to Gary about it, and Gary told me to leave. And I was like, Gary, that's really dumb to tell your number one agent to leave. And he goes, no, it's not. Because if you leave, it'll fall apart sooner, and then you can come back and we can rebuild it the right way. And I was like, okay, I guess. But I still want to go to Mega Camp. I want to come to your masterminds and like all the learning and stuff. And he said, you can still come. And I was like, that feels weird to me. That doesn't feel... He goes, no, you can. It's fine. Go look. And I was like, where would I look? And he said, go to Remax, go to Realty One, go out. So I went and looked, and what I found was everybody was kind of just as dysfunctional as we were.
We're all a hot mess, right?
It was kind of a mess everywhere I looked. So I just closed our doors, built our stuff, and then they did get the owner to transition out. And I thought, you know what? It's time for me to open an office because I love the systems. I love the culture. I love the people. I want to create what I know can be created. I want to create an environment where people don't want to leave. It's built for the agent. And so that was 2005. And I ended up partnering with Dave Jinks, who was Gary's right-hand man at the time. And we were smart enough to open a real estate office in 2006, right? Like what could possibly go wrong?
Talk about failing forward in a way.
It was ugly. It was, 2006 was great. 2007 was not so great. 2008 was horrific, and somehow, knock on wood, we stayed profitable through that time. But it was, really, you had to roll up your sleeves and dive in. And I think I was the number one agent in the company when I first started, the company. But over time, I slid down because I wasn't just focusing on the team anymore. I also was working on the real estate company, and there was 200 agents there that needed help, and there's one of me.
Yeah, what did you learn in that process about people and leverage? I mean, that's a whole journey in itself.
I think it is, and I think that's the biggest opportunity for a real estate agent, no matter where they are. I was just in Jackson Hole talking to a really successful agent from Park City, and she's just kind of struggling with leverage because she's doing everything herself. And I was like, well, you don't have to be calling the title company. You don't have to be going to the inspection. You don't have to be typing that up. There's so many things that somebody can do for you. And so it really forced me to have other people around me to help me to get things done. Because I was the corporate broker, but I couldn't review all the files. It would not physically be possible for me to do that. So I think I got really good at leveraging everything, and I got really good at being in relationships with the right people. And thankfully, somehow I've had a lot of people in my life for a long time.
And it's not that easy to leverage the people part of it, right? We're in the business of people and all things that we do, especially when you're running a business. Do you have any examples of how you failed forward? Because people think you just hire somebody, that's a person for life. It doesn't work that way. It's messy in the middle, right? It's not a straight line. I go from point A to point B, it's jagged.
I think it's very jagged, and it's very up and down, and I still live it. I mean, there's roles that I struggle with filling and finding the right person. I can't tell you how many mistakes I've made. We would need a lot of time because I don't think...
Separate podcast.
It's a whole different world because you hire somebody, you learn from it, right? And so then you don't do that again, but you do something different. And then I had somebody who had been with me for 10 years and ran next to me through all of that, only to find out she was stealing and she was going to Hawaii on my credit card on the weekends.
Wow.
And shame on me for not checking, those checks and balances that I've now put in place. But she did that for probably 2 years before I caught her.
That's a valuable lesson.
It was a
Really
valuable lesson.
valuable.
She was paying my bills. She was doing everything.
Yeah.
She was running my world.
And how do you bounce back from that? Because oftentimes when I work with entrepreneurs, they hire somebody. They think it's going to be the greatest thing. They're going to be there forever. We know that person may leave, and then I find that they retreat and they're not going to do it. Then they dip their toe back in the water and are seeking to find talent. How did you recover from that?
I think I had to recover from that because I had so much going on. I didn't have a choice, right?
Okay.
But I think that over time, my skin has gotten really thick. And because of that, I have people that, I had an assistant one time, she said to me, I tend to come in and say a whole bunch of stuff. Like I have things to do, right? And so I come in and I'll unload a bunch of stuff. And she said, do you know you just told me 7 things? And I said, and did you get them all? Because you need me to tell you them again, or what is it? And she goes, no, that's a lot. I go, well, yeah, it's a lot. And I just want to make sure you've got them. If you need to write them down or something, let's make sure. And she thought I was a nut. I mean, she just couldn't fathom how someone could dump that kind of stuff out. But I think over time you get like that and you get in the rhythm with the right person and it's magical.
Yeah, and that's interesting. I find that people are always looking, I have somebody, I had to hold on to them. I can't give them this. And they forget that that person is there to be an extension to benefit you to go find more business. And it takes a minute to get that cadence that you're describing is you move quick. And it's why we call you Hurricane. That's how you got the nickname, right?
Yeah, I actually like it. I think it's good.
It's perfect, right? Because the right person can withstand the hurricane. What is that famous quote? Birds sing after the rain, why can't we? Right? It's kind of like the perfect storm. And then afterwards is this beautiful opening that everybody can enjoy. I mean, you really have impacted so many people. Personally, me, very much so. What are some of the things besides leverage that you've had to let go of to grow? Sometimes you have to let things that were important to you. You've had to let that die in order for new growth to happen. Does anything come to mind?
Yeah, there's a lot. I mean, I think about you. Like I knew that you were right in the role that you're in, but I had you in the wrong role, right? And so then you left me, and you left me kindly, and you found a replacement. You did everything right. But I knew I still wanted to be in business with you. No. And so I knew it was just a matter of time. And so I needed to stay in touch and keep that going. And I feel like I've been really lucky to have people in my life for more than 10 years in multiple places. And I think you have to let your world get big enough that that person can live inside of it. And if it can't get big enough, now they're going to go find a different opportunity, right? And so you've got to be able to do other things. That's one of the reasons why I launched the property management company, because I felt like I needed another spot to grow and opportunities for people.
Yeah, let's talk about that a little bit and opening up your own brokerage. When you did that, Dave, he was well known, but he wasn't a staple here in the community. It was a pretty male-dominated industry. You pretty much brass balls kind of going out there and saying, I'm going to do this. It was pretty much a male-dominated industry here in Las Vegas. What was that like? You were well known and respected.
Yeah. And I think, one of the things that over time, I just kind of go after what I want and I'm pretty determined in that sense. So I don't always let things hold me back and think that it can't be done. And that's something I know Cassie now has learned with me. She used to always say, oh, you can't do that. And I think you were the one who said to her, don't ever tell her that because it's going to make her crazy. Say, well, I don't know how to do that, but let's see if we can figure out how to do it. Because I believe there's always a way to do something if you put your mind to it, and that comes the opportunity, right? That's what you can do, and having the right people around you helps you get there faster. People is the answer for everything. It's anytime I'm stuck, I always know it's a system or a person, and I don't create systems, so it's usually a person that I need to create a new system.
And that's interesting. One of the things as you've built your multiple businesses over time, your holding company and many of the companies you do business, the legal name, it's Large Vision. How did you come up with that? It's very powerful. I didn't understand it when I first met you. And then the more I got to know you and I go, oh, it makes perfect sense. Like that's a beautiful, how did you come up with that?
So it's interesting because when I wanted to open an office, I wasn't sure about it, right? And I went and I shadowed some of the top 10 offices in Keller Williams. I went and spent time with them and learned a lot. And some of them were actually bugging me to go into business with them and do an extension because I was a top agent in Vegas. They were succeeding in another city. They knew how to do it. And I thought, well, that's it was flattering, right? And Dave was coaching me at the time, Dave Jinks, and he was Gary's right-hand man. And I'd had a really good coaching relationship with him. He coached me for about 6 or 7 years by then, and we just worked really well together. And I was telling him about these opportunities, and he said, well, be careful because partnerships are really hard. They almost never work, and you don't want to just go in business with anybody. He goes, think of Keller Williams. There's 50,000 or so people there. Of the 50,000 people, who would you want to be in business with? And I thought for a minute, and I had 3 people that had approached me that were all well known. But I didn't know if I wanted to be in a business. Like I like them, they're my friends, but I didn't know if I wanted to be in business with them. And I said, really, Dave, the only person in that 50,000 is you. And he got really quiet. And he said that was not the answer that I was thinking was going to come. And he said, you're one of the only people I would want to be in business with too. So we need to sit down and talk. So he flew out. And we spent a weekend just kind of brainstorming and talking. We went up to my cabin and hiking and nature and stuff outside. And we talked about what could it look like. And we talked about it needs to look really big. It needs to have a big vision. And that's how we came up with Large Vision. So
Very
everything
cool.
is known as Large Vision because you have to have a large vision to put it out there.
It's interesting because the property management company is LVPM. It doesn't stand for Las Vegas, coincidentally. No. It's for Large Vision.
Yeah. People think it's Las Vegas. And I'm like, okay, you could think whatever you want, but it's Large Vision Property Management.
I've always thought that was a cool name. So in a way, the other thing we like to say here is that Dave got a little Zoist. Right? You don't know what's going to happen with Debbie, right? How did you perfect that with Debbie? Kind of this nice Canadian kind of pushes you. She's real nice. And all of a sudden she pushes you off the ledge. And then she runs around and she catches you. And then we call that, did I just agree to that? What just happened? How did that happen? Going back to like your assistant as well, right? We had somebody here and I said, Debbie's coming back and she's got certain things on her mind and you're going to get Zois. So just be ready.
Be ready.
How did you become so good at that?
I think it comes with the drive and the determination that I have. I know that I want it. And sometimes I can see that people will succeed in that, and I want them to succeed in that, but they're scared, right? And so I tend to push hard and push a little at first and then harder over time. But I'd like to think I do it with care or with love. Like I won't let them get hurt.
You're always kind.
I think I try to be kind, but I'm very aggressive sometimes, and then I want them like just go, because I can see, I have a gift where I can see from here to here, but I don't always see this in middle stuff. And so somebody's got to be around me to do that middle stuff because I know it can get here.
Got it.
I just don't know about the stuff along the way.
It's the other thing, being kind of a visionary, one of the things I've noticed, you're always 2 to 3 steps ahead. I remember when we were in the other office and you said we came back from somewhere and we have to build a green screen room. Video is not what it is today. We built the green screen room and people started using it. Took a little bit. But you're always able to see 2 to 3 steps ahead, even naming the office, putting Las Vegas and not a different name. I mean, where does that gift come from? How are you able to see down the road?
I don't know. I think I've always been able to do that. And it gets me in trouble because I get frustrated because other people can't see where I'm going. And I know that it needs to get here, but I have to kind of slow down and talk slower and work to get them to get there. So it's, I think it's a gift that I have that I've been blessed with and
Tunnel
I'm
vision.
thankful for. I'm very focused on what I want, and once I want it, I want to go after it and get it.
Well, we thank you for that. Let's transition a little bit. Being a single mom, I don't know if many people know that you are a single mom. You've been a single mom since the boys were little. So building all of this, you can have it all. What was that like, and what lessons did you learn being a single mom that you would share with somebody?
Yeah,
that's powerful.
I think I look back and, we always want to be the very best parent we can be. And being a single mom meant that I had to do everything. And I was not going to not pick them up from school or not, attend a soccer game or a cross country meet or a basketball game or whatever it was. And my kids were super, super active. But I remember when I was getting divorced and I was just like, oh, shoot. This is on me. I have to be able to pay for this. Like, I will never have my kids come to me and want to do something or go to a super expensive school or do something, and I have to be able to say, oh, I'm sorry, honey, you can't do that. That was not an option in my world. And so pretty quickly I was trying to figure out what can I do. So I started buying some real estate. I started investing in some things, and I'm very, I'm cheap. I mean, I don't spend a lot of money. I guess frugal would be a better word, but I'm not into big showy stuff. I'm more about financially being okay, and I like having a lot of cash around because I feel like then you're in control of what's going to happen. And for me with the boys, I just had to be there for them. It was not an option. And so I found people around me that could help me with the other things that I needed to do. And right before we opened the office, I remember I took 136 listings and I didn't work a weekend. And so you think about that. People were like, how did you do that? And I said, people would call and I would just let me look at my schedule. And when I looked at my schedule, I had an appointment, and the appointment was with my kid. And I would just say to them, oh my gosh, you know what? I'm out of town this weekend, or I've got appointments already.
Yeah, valid.
Can we meet on Monday? And they'd say, no, I can't. I said, well, what about your lunch hour? What about? And you can figure it out. I think it's about controlling your life. And I think when you're in real estate, it can control you. I remember I always had to get home, and whatever I was doing, I was always on the phone. I had to finish it in the garage before I'd go inside the house because I wanted to get off my phone. So when I went in, I had that switch and I was going to be home and not be...
You were very intentional. It's interesting. Bruce Hardy shared that story. It was something, and I remember that when he went into the house, his son was wanting his attention. He was on the phone with somebody, and he had this moment. He goes, years from now, this person, I'm not going to remember what we were talking about or who this person was. And from that day forward, but they're going to remember me being on the phone. That day forward, he did the same thing. And I started adopting the same thing. And that you don't get a second chance.
Yeah, I think it's super important, and it's hard to do it. It's not always perfect. My youngest can out-negotiate me somehow, and I don't know, but I think he just heard me for all the years, with those things going on. But I think you really have to... They grow up and they're gone before you know it. So making sure that financially you're able to, and they know if you're not at their soccer game, they know if you're not there at basket. It's not good.
It's about organizing your business around your life.
Well,
it's easy to do
their
it the
calendar
other way.
went in my calendar first, and it was there. And I remember Chris, my oldest, turned 4. And at that time, I think the average sales price was like $100,000 or some silly low number, right? And I got my first $1 million buyer, and I was like, oh my gosh. And he wanted to go right when the birthday party was. And I was like, ugh. And I just couldn't do it. And I don't know to this day if he was real or not real or whatever. I tried to give him to somebody else. I had to let it go because it was my kiddo's birthday party. It was very stressful because, there was a big chunk of money for me.
Sure.
But it was also his birthday party.
Yeah, and that matters more than anything. So how do you see real estate today? How has it changed? We talked about when you got started, the phone book, and a phone was the technology, right? Now things have advanced. I mean, what do you see happening in real estate today? And what do you see the future? What will that look like?
Yeah, I think it's changed, but I think it's still the same. Mm-hmm. It's about relationships, right? And so whoever has the best relationship is who's going to win in that sense. It's interesting because I was teaching something the other day, and 3 of our agents had gone on the same listing appointment. They didn't know that they had gone on the same listing appointment. And the one that got it, he was laughing. He goes, well, I got it because I've got a better relationship than you guys do with that guy. He goes, we go out for cocktails and I know him intently. And so because of that, he was chosen, but the guy didn't feel good enough about him to not have talked to the other 2, but the relationship connected it. And I think they say the average person is in 11 people's database, which is way different than it was 20 years ago. But you have to just be good at it. You have to be touching them. You have to be real and genuine. And I think people know if you care, if you don't care.
Yeah.
And they know if you're cold calling through stuff and you're not paying any attention to it, it doesn't feel good. It's more about people and connections, I believe.
Yeah. How does it feel to have a referral-based business today with all the work and the time you've put in? What is that like? What would you tell anybody else who's maybe starting out and they don't have their Met database? How does it feel to be on the other side of it?
I'm thankful. I mean, if I had to start calling today, I don't know how I would survive. I guess I would probably figure it out.
God help the
right?
community. Yeah.
Right? It'd be bad. But I was just talking to a friend of mine that I met 29 years ago, and she's a top agent in another part of the country, and we've sent referrals back and forth over time. And she's like, you'll always be my agent in Las Vegas. And,
Nice.
and I'm thankful for that. And then as people grow up, they tell other people, right? And so it's staying in touch and staying sticky enough, which matters. And people get escaped. Like I lost Jimmy. I should never have lost Jimmy. He was great for, I think in the first 24 months, I got 18 pieces of business from Jimmy.
Wow.
Like if I could do that, I should do that again, right? That's a lesson.
Yeah, you have different, you have multiple businesses and interests, with real estate being the core of all of it. You know, one of the things you've created a great financial life for yourself. You're still very humble. You drive the same, what year is your FJ Cruiser?
It's funny. I look at it and I think, oh, I should have a better car because I'm kind of embarrassed by it, but I'm not embarrassed
I love
enough to do something with it. I might paint it so it's all shiny and new. It's a 2012. It's the last year that they made the FJ, and I like it because sometimes I'm impatient and I can't get to where I want to go, and I could just drive over the curb, right? Like I can get anywhere. And when I go to my cabin, I can drive over the snow a few times and pack it down. And it's, my dog goes in the back. You can hose the thing out. There's dog fur, and it's, you know, it's got 110,000 miles on it. And I've never had a car that's had more than 70,000 miles on it. So I really should buy a new car. I keep on looking and there's nothing that I like.
Yeah, but it's also, you're not pretentious in that way. You don't need the big flashy car. The home you live in is one the kids grew up in, and it's not for lack of means. It's just you have your mind on other priorities, which leads me to, you know, why is it so important to you at this point? You really invest in people. You're really in it for the agent and people, and really, as we spoke about, pushing people to grow. I mean, it's something that you're passionate about.
That's it. I'm passionate about it. It keeps me going. I mean, I could retire now and not work anymore, but I love it. When I see the light bulb go off and somebody gets it, it just feels so good to me. And even, you know, my leaders in my businesses, they're all doing a great job. So it affords me the ability to go, you know, I think if I couldn't travel and flit around the way that I do, I probably would sell them and be done with it. But I have great people. And so because of that, everything kind of moves forward, sometimes better than if I'm here.
Okay.
Yeah, you know that.
Yeah, I'm here.
You're here when I'm not.
And we appreciate you. So investing in people, and then just a few other things. What's wealth mean to you today?
So back in 2018, somebody that was my right hand was in a really horrific car accident. And at the age of 34, she went from being a beautiful, you know, outgoing, high energy, single mom to being in a wheelchair and not able to move from the neck down. And that really kind of changed me. And I think it made me look at things differently. And so I think time is our most valuable commodity. And time with your family, time with your friends, time with yourself, time to go see things. It's really, wealth to me is being able to do what I want when I want with who I want.
You can have a shirt made or bumper sticker or something that says that. It's powerful.
It is powerful. And I look sometimes like sometimes it's bad because there can be a newer agent that starts to ask me a question like they want to know how to use DocuSign or something. And I'm just like, I don't have a clue. Like, I don't know. I don't want to know. I'm not going to find out. And they're like, you should know. And I'm like, no, I shouldn't know. Somebody else should go do that because it's not worth it, right? It's like being able to do what I want, and that's not what I want to do. But if I could inspire them to go build a business, that's interesting to me.
Yep.
Right?
Higher level.
Yeah, it's got to be higher level thinking, and that's who I want to hang out with.
Yeah, nice. Anything I didn't ask you? that I should have asked you? Anything we
Oh, I don't know.
talk about? Anything that we
You
didn't
know,
cover?
One of the things I think that's kind of cool, I've been working to teach my grandson this, is anonymous giving. Because I think that also often we're kind of like, hey, look at me, I just donated something, or I need to put my name up there for something. And there's something to be said for helping someone and not asking for anything back. And even something as simple as, paying a little bill or something. And they don't need to know who did it, but it feels good, and it's inspiring, I think. And then I think when you can teach others to do that, it spreads, right? It's infectious. And I think I want to spend my life and my time around people who are high-minded, who are thinking that way. And it's contagious. It just kind of goes everywhere.
It's true. I always told my kids growing up, do things with a kind heart. Don't do things with the expectation you're going to get something in return, and you will be blessed forevermore. It'll show up in ways that you won't imagine.
Yeah.
Kind of talking a little bit about that. It kind of fill other people's cups up.
Yeah. It's like do the right thing even when no one's looking, right?
Yeah, that's an important one too.
Yeah.
That's a whole podcast
In itself.
topic. Yeah. Well, thanks for being here. I appreciate you. Thank you for everything.
Yeah. Thank you for all you do.
Yeah.